Welcome to the Portland Film Festival, presented for the fourth consecutive year by Comcast. We want to thank the Comcast team for their tremendous support and commitment to independent filmmakers. Their ongoing support ensures that diverse voices are given a platform to share their unique perspectives on the world. We'd also like to thank Kerner Camera, Portland Mortgage, and Oregon Film. Find out more information or buy tickets online at pdxff.com. My name is Joe Stevens. I'm the Director of Programming for the Portland Film Festival, and we are here with the subject of When Claude Got Shot.
Hello.
So I'm going to take a second to introduce yourself, give us a little insight as to who you are.
Well, my name is Claude Motley. Obviously, the subject matter of When Claude Got Shot. Born and raised in Milwaukee. I moved to Charlotte in approximately 1990. I'm sorry, about 2004. I'm sorry. Been down here ever since, but still have really my whole family's in Milwaukee, and so I have a lot of ties there, and go back every year, send my kids there to be there for the summer. Kind of traditional thing, and. We have a law firm. I have a JD. My wife's a lawyer. We have to do a lot of international work. One of the things that we do is a lot of social work. We do a lot of things for different communities, people in distress that need help. So that's what our jobs are to do. We also we're full staff law firm, so that's what we do. And once again, a lot of ties to Milwaukee, go back and forth. And obviously, I was there for our family, our class reunion, ready to enjoy when the things happen. But that was one of the things that I always did. So that's who we are. That's who I am.
So learn a little every year. Every time I watch, more and more documentaries. I had no idea that Milwaukee was so segregated. And again, my family in Wisconsin lives near the lakes. So, I mean, didn't spend too much time near Milwaukee, but you want to talk a little bit about why your family moved to Charlotte?
Well, and you bring up a good point when you talk about the segregation. One of the main reasons is I have two daughters and a son. And one of the things you learn about Milwaukee is that it's one of the worst places to raise African-American men. When you talk about the incarceration rates, you talk about education, when you talk about just the environment, segregation and the pressures that puts on a community in which people are, struggling to, within just the natural struggles in America. But then when you enhance that with the environment that Milwaukee has created, it's just not a good environment. At one point in time, we lived in the zip code, which had the most African-American males incarcerated in America. And and that's one of those things in which, when you look at it, you start to say, hey, listen, what's the kind of future you bring your child into, especially if you have the ability to actually, do a little bit better. So that's the reason why we were pretty much forced to leave and just get a better life for our children.
Yeah, the education system is definitely something I wanted to touch on too. I mean, I learned a little about the young man who had shot you. I remember seeing his mom talking about wanting to be getting out of the system he'd been in and into better schools in the area, and just how challenging is that? I mean, you moved your family out because you knew it would be the wrong place to raise your kid, but how was it growing up in that community, knowing that it was just as tough as it was there?
When the thing about it is, when you grow up there, you just, as a child and as any human being, you adjust, and you try to do the things that you can. One of the things I always was blessed with, I had great friends, great people around me. And I think if you put that out into the atmosphere, you draw it back. And so that was a blessing for me. But not all my friends had those opportunities and things like that. And when you see, until you're able to actually grow up and mature, and when you see the pitfalls, that I had a lot of friends that when it comes down to drug dealing, and when it comes down to even crimes and even death, it's just something that you just grow up with. But trying to, just like when you talk about with Nathan, we went through the same process of trying to get our kids not into the city schools that were in Milwaukee that are failing at this point in time, and trying to get them into suburb schools, trying to get them in charter schools and things like that. And it was just a hassle, because you find out that that's not what is wanted. It's a lot of loopholes and things just to get your kids a proper education in a proper environment, And at that point in time, when you find out it's so hard to just do something that you would think that all Americans are entitled to, at that point in time, you have to look for other opportunities, and that's what we had to do.
And I'm glad you were able to do that for your family. I mean, having to jump through all the hoops just to get, exactly, like your education is like a fundamental thing as an American to have. Like, you're supposed to just be able to go to school and trust that the teachers are going to have your best interests, that you're going to have all the support needed to get you to high school and beyond. And
right.
And I'm really glad Charlotte's got that for you.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that, in every city, I'm not going to, like I said, I love Milwaukee, and I still love Milwaukee. It has a lot of potential, has a lot of great people. Like I said, I can't say that if I don't talk about my own family that's still there. I love everyone there. And it's not that. It's just the thing about it is that every city has its issues. Every city that we come by, I'm sure, we're talking about Portland. I'm sure it has its issues. We're talking, you talk about so many different countries. And that's one of the things about this movie I'm so glad that I found out, is that it connects. People can relate to it all across this country. Different things, though, they can see their own situations in it, because it is something that is, unfortunately, a problem across this country. So, yeah, I mean, we were able to do that, and we were able to actually, get into a better situation. But, it also has its, everybody has to tolerate something. So, we all go through it in our own ways.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to switch gears for a quick second here. And when Brad approached you about making this film, what was your initial reaction to it? I mean, I can't imagine wanting to relive just a horrific night like that and go about, but what was your initial reaction?
That's a very good answer. Me and Brad have been friends for a number of years, great friends. I mean, our kids actually, my son and his son actually met in daycare, and that's where we actually met, sitting on those little chairs, trying to eat little cookies and finger foods at open night. So, that's where we actually met, and we became, wonderful friends ever since then. My wife, actually, how the whole concept came about was that my wife she has a documentary out because of her work in Afghanistan. And when she was ending her documentary is when that scene that you might see in the movie, of which we were picking out the pictures of Nathan. And that actual film crew was her film crew for her documentary. And they were going to, and so that was the whole thought process of, me being open even to put that on film. He was like, let's explore this a little bit more. I'm ready to go on this journey with you. And the frustration and anger that I had at the time, but also the love and hope that I had, really said, hey, listen, let's do this. Let's go through this. Let's go through this and tell this story. Because at that point in time, I went through changes through the whole thing. I had to grow. I had to really understand myself. I didn't know what I was doing in that, but I know I had an idea of what I wanted to say. And it just came out well. So, like I said before, we had a great relationship. I really trusted Brad. I really trusted Brad to deliver the story. And he actually did a great job at it.
That scene where you're picking out photos, and seeing Nathan's picture and learning just moments later that he was himself shot just days later. I didn't see an ounce of like vindication, not vengeance, not anything on your face there. How hard is that? It's like, I mean, I guess you saw he was a kid and you saw that he was a kid, but like, how hard is that to know that someone who wronged you, who put you through it, was themselves like a victim, well, not even a victim, went with the consequences, but was themselves just injured and crippled for a bit.
The thing about it is that just going through that situation, you kind of see, not only yourself in that child, he's a product of Milwaukee also. You see, you see the pitfalls that he fell for that you might have avoided. And also knowing, it all comes back to, I have nephews and nieces and that's in, that's in Milwaukee that's actually having a hard time of making those choices, making those things and not being influenced by the negative things, or even being influenced and trying to help them through those situations. It's too bad that Nathan had to be shot before he could have made a U-turn and tried to, go a different path. But, you hope that it doesn't have to actually come to that for someone to actually realize what they're doing wrong. And that's the first thing I thought about. Like, I always felt that I was going to be all right. And like I told you, I always count a blessing, and I also, I thank, Jehovah God, that He allowed that blessing to be installed upon me to, come out an inch one way into another way. I probably would have been dead, but I didn't, and I can't, and so I can't just look at that blessing to say that, another person shouldn't have that blessing, And I wish that he, wouldn't have got shot, but. It's the things that we have to go through, and it's and how the back end, how you come out of those situations is the most important thing. Not how you get into it, but how you learn and try to be a different person in the back end.
Yeah, I know. Listening to your stories and how similar they started out there. I mean, he was, he lost opportunities, and I remember you, talking about, growing up. You were 16 when you had to leave home because it was getting to be too much. And, I mean,
yeah.
And I guess that does kind of ring true there. I mean, you're able to connect with them on a more human level, and I guess it's easier to not wish ill on someone. You've been in his shoes, you know where he's coming from, and
and you make a great point on that, because the thing about it is that when I was 16 and I was out on my own, I lived like I showed you, I was living in a boarding house. I had the thing about it is that you have every bad influence knocking at your door. I didn't even let half my friends know that I was by myself, at the time, because, you just don't want that stigma to be put on you, because, you're halfway embarrassed on things that has nothing to do with your control, and I could have let that anger eat at me and things like that. But like I said before, I was always blessed that I had support, and not everyone, and I wouldn't expect that everyone has that support. Sometimes when a kid 16 like that is out there on their own, or, Nathan at 15, out at 2, 3, or 4 o'clock in the morning, they also are victims. They also can be seen as victims, and because they don't have the knowledge to actually, say no, or understand the pitfalls, because they don't have all the information. And, where I was able to, step through that, I would know that, a majority of people don't have that opportunity. And so, I could understand his plight in that situation.
And that's exactly the pitfalls that are easy to fall into. We'll talk a little about how the differences, I guess, between Charlotte and Milwaukee, as far as just avoiding those. I mean, you're there for your children in a way that nobody was there for you when you were growing up like that. How easy is it now to help steer, your family in the right direction, away from all that craziness, because you grew up in it?
Well, the thing about it is that, one of the things I realized was communication was lacking. We have an expectation of thinking that kids know things. And unfortunately, sometimes the kids, especially as they get to teenagers, they have the bravado to think that they actually do know things that they have no clue on. And the thing about it is that you have to have that patience. You have to understand where they're coming from, and understand that, your struggles and the things that you're going through has nothing to do with your children. They have their own struggles, and you're there to help them with it. You don't go ahead and say, "Hey, listen, I don't want to have time for your mess right now," and things like that. You have to, always have a communication. Unfortunately, maybe, at some point in time, I think, I'm so different than my father. Maybe I went a little too far. I'm a little too soft, But you can never be. I took the thing. We never. You always want to, give your kids opportunities and choices and opportunities to learn, but also being there to help them. Definitely Charlotte has its issues. It has this, the killings and gangs and things like that. And, but Fortunately, I talked to my kids about the things that I avoided, the things that I got into that I'm not too proud of, and I talked to them about it. And so they at least have some type of foundation to see, hey, listen, I see that coming, and I'm able to actually, do, maybe I could do what my father did or what he said to me, this might happen. And it helped. It really helped. And one of the things I'm most proud of is my children, because they are wonderful human beings. And they, and even though they had to go through this situation, my son is almost the same age as Nathan when he shot me, they're almost the same age. And it had a profound effect on me. But, that's one of the reasons why I had to show them strength, to show them that, there are consequences, but there's also empathy for people. And you teach that. Hopefully I'll help other people to understand that too.
So those generational lessons you're able to pass on, man, that's just, yeah, incredible stuff. And yeah, sorry your family had to be shaken like that. I mean, that's just,
yeah. The funny thing is, my father, the first thing that my son was told was, your father got shot in the face, and you don't, when you tell that, that's a shocking thought process, because everything bad that you can think of goes through your brain, fortunately. And actually he was with Brad at the time, when I got shot. And, then he was like, but he's okay, and things like that. But unfortunately, but you just don't know. You just don't know how that's going to affect them. But going through that situation, it was not a great experience, but it was an experience to learn from, and to grow from.
Yeah, and I'll say, yeah, just glad everyone's doing a little better now with everything. And I guess my next thing I wanted to touch on, just a little personal interest. There's a little spot in there talking about, where you're choosing, not you, but choosing a house, and using where the police harass you the most as as a way to figure out where the safest neighborhoods are, where they're keeping out that element. I mean,
right.
I'm like using redlining, using police. That's a pretty interesting way to choose how you're.
It was, and fortunately, we hit on it. And the bad thing, let me tell you something, and we talk about the pitfalls of what you're saying about that, because by doing that, in our mindset, we were looking at schools, we're looking at crime rates, we're looking at things like that in the city, because we're just coming from a situation where all our lives we've been having to sidestep different things, and also with that, you come in with the situation where the houses that you're choosing and the environments has the most equity. You talk about the redlining and things like that, and all of a sudden, you fight to get into a situation like that, and you're better off. What message does that tell people, whenever they're looking for houses, whenever they want to invest in the community and everything like that? It tells them that, you need to stay away from certain areas and stay away. And we don't know how much that vibrates through our community, how much that effort, even though it might be subtle, it is there, and yeah, it was an experience. We're still in the same neighborhood. I can't deny there's great people here. I have no problem with that. But, like I said, you sacrifice a little something, because I know who I grew up with. I love my community. I love being around people and the culture. But, you have to sacrifice certain things too, so.
So is there anything particular you wanted to mention? We'll talk about?
Yeah, the thing about it is that one of the things that I think that when we're going through this movie, we definitely see is, I always look at my film is in three different parts, and we talk about the parts of, we look at the outcome of the shooting, and that's one of the things that we definitely need to look at when we talk about gun violence, when we talk about the accessibility of guns, and certain, with people who do not have any reason for having guns. And, we're partnered up with Every Time for America, and we try to address some of those things of, getting in policy to go ahead and, you know, start talking about background checks and start, you know, and the need for, you know, army type weapons in neighborhoods and homes. You know, that's something that we definitely need to start thinking about when it comes down to how this trickles down. You know, I got shot by, you know, I don't know what type of gun it was, 380 or something like that. But if a 15-year-old can have a 380, you know, we have already seen what a AK can be done into a person, a grown man that walks in and gets that. You know, the damage is even worse. So we have to realize what that effects are. You know, the second thing that, you know, going back from there, like I kind of mentioned earlier, is what, you know, you have to start, what makes a 16-year-old or 15-year-old pick up a gun and think that, you know, violence is a way, you know. And so you know, we have to start thinking about the stability of neighborhoods and communities, you know, the cost of me being shot on a community. And when you multiply that by hundreds and hundreds of people each year, not just being killed, you know, I think Milwaukee had a record-breaking year, and I think over almost close to 200 deaths. And, you know, you times that by 5 when it comes down to injuries and wounds. What makes a community do that? And we talk about disability, so we have to look at education as we spoke on. We have to look at jobs, and we have to look at, you know, just the support that's needed for a community to be stable and to grow, and not for people to think that they don't have any hope. And that's what we have to really start thinking about, you know, and then, you know, taking that one step further as in growing a community on a stable basis. So, you know, I think we have to unravel all the things that are, you know, that you can see within this movement. We have to start to unravel it and making it our focus, and stop being so pigeonholed on, you know, just the person that, you know, the victim and the victimizer, and look at it all as being victims. You know, we're all, you know, being victimized in a lot of ways in the situation, and let's try to help the innocent, the ones that's coming after us, you know.
I'll say for sure. I mean, we do have a pervasive gun culture in America. I mean, even in Portland, we've had, I think, 70-ish deaths this year. This alone this year in Portland, it's just from,
Wow. Wow.
yeah. This has been a record-breaking year for us. It's. I
Yeah.
mean, we had a day the other day with like 10 shootings in a day or something like that. It was wild.
It's
So I mean,
it's an epidemic.
Yeah.
You know, I have a good friend, Reggie Moore. He works with the Freighter Hospital, and, you know, and he's looking to try to get things, you know, to look at this as an epidemic, as a health crisis, instead of a, you know, just a crime crisis. You know, because the thing about it is that once we start looking at the psychology of being able to shoot somebody and trying to help that, the mentality, the mindset, if we can look at those things, then at that point in time, we might be able to look at this in a different light and try to attack it in a different light, you know? Because I mean, from what I hear, I've never been to Portland, but I heard it's a beautiful place, you know what I'm trying to say? And so, you know, why? You know, you have to ask the question, why are we breaking records, you know? So, you know, I think it's something that it's definitely something that we need to strive for. I know we have a lot of things on our plates, but, you know, when I look at you know, I lose hope when I see you know, the voting bill dying, you know, the police reform bill dying, you know, and I just wonder, as a society, what are we trying to strive for? And that's what, you know, I want to try to uplift people to go ahead and try to induce them to understand that, you know, we as a society, we are only as strong as our weakest links. And we continue to create our weakest links, then, you know, that's what breaks down our society, you know.
Absolutely. It's been good talking to you. Just real quick, what's the main message you hope people walk away from your film? You know, what do you want people to take away?
You know, I want people to really understand that we're in this together. We're in this together. This doesn't get solved by jails, justice system. This doesn't get solved by, you know, handouts. It has to get solved by us understanding each other and trying to strive and understand it is not easy. It's not easy to break through those barriers. It's not easy to break over those guide walls that go ahead and keeps us away from each other. But we have to do it because, you know, we're all here living together in a society. We really have to really focus on that. I don't care if it comes down from climate change to, Republicans versus Democrats. I don't care if it comes to anything like that. We're in this country together, and we need to get back to our roots of looking at us as, as one country and one people, instead of, always creating these barriers of entry. So, that's why I hope that people understand that, we can do our part, even if it's the smallest thing. Just change our mindsets.
It's a truly powerful film, and that's a great message to take away from it. We are all in this together, and it's really, really not time to stay divided over everything. We need to be able to figure out solutions like today for these things.
Absolutely.
Claude, good to talk to you today. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me at the Portland Film Festival. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoys the film, and I hope everybody, get something from it.
Absolutely. You can watch When Claude Got Shot on Portland Film or pdxff.com. Pardon me. Remember to vote, and we hope to see you in the lobby.
Thanks again, everyone.